Obviously, you got your dog there and stuff. How are you coping with lockdown? How's everything?
Most of the days I'm absolutely fine. Both me and my wife have lots of work to do anyway, and that we can do from home. And I don't know, I keep a good exercise regimen, and it's summer, so we can be outside. People close to me, family, friends and stuff, are healthy. Those who caught it didn't get it bad. You know, like, it's all, as much as it sucks, it just doesn't suck that much for me right here, right now. You know? So I just have to try to stay patient, which I am. And I always have to default, you know, if everything else fail, got an Xbox, but I haven't had time to play it for a week, you know, so I guess that's a good thing.
Right, yeah. What games did you decide to go for when you bought the Xbox?
Right now, me and my wife together, we're playing that. What's it called? Hollow Knight.
Oh, nice, cool.
Yeah, and when on my own, because I got the Xbox One late.
Yeah.
And then I like the small, you know, those games that are small little masterpieces in terms of length and content, like Portal, that style or whatever.
Yeah.
Or I like I'm gonna live in this world now for a while. So first time I played through Fallout 4, I was like, I didn't quite do things the way I should have to be immersed.
Yeah.
So I took that from the top again.
That's cool, man. I think it's nice to have the time to do that, innit? I'm certainly doing the same thing. I'm trying to get through like games or things like movies I've never watched before. It's a good time to do that, especially if you've got your wife there as well. That's cool.
Exactly. But then again, it seems like I have less time for that than I thought I would, and I think ultimately that's a good thing.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that really came in now is I always been good with, or always in the last bunch of years now, I've been very good at my fitness regimen, especially on tour. Right. And at home it's been a bit more hit and miss, depending on what else is going on. Like, because again, like tour, you can turn a tour is whatever you want it to be, aside from going on stage. You know, it can be as decadent and partying or whatever, or you can treat it like a kung fu, be like a what's called Shaolin monk on a strict regimen. But you know, bringing it back home, it's been a bit of a hit and miss in different periods, and now I've been a good boy. So more of those kind of things.
Good man. I'm pleased you're keeping yourself busy. And obviously, you know, you have a new record coming out, which is cool, and you've obviously done a lot over the last sort of 10 years of your career. I wanted to ask you, because different people have different definitions of success and what it means, you know. A lot of people look up to Avatar, and they maybe think, a lot of young people, for example, might be like, I'm never going to get to that point, I'm never going to get to be on stage. And then there's you, who's obviously toured the world and whatever. So what do you define as success, and what does it mean to you as a person?
I guess I have a bunch of different definitions. But the most important one is, I feel that matters the most to me, is how I personally feel about what we are doing and what we're making. And to get that satisfaction of feeling like, we did simply doing some music that we wanted to hear in a way that we wanted to make it. And going through all that, being as close as we are. Because if I am to believe the game of telephone being played, what you hear around, and then when you hear about lawsuits in bands or just how other bands travel and stuff, we have been able to be as enthusiastic as a group about this as we were when we were teens. And ultimately, like, we have this high wall between when we create the music and then when we put the music out there. When it's when writing and recording, we're in our little treehouse and do it for us. And once it's done, then comes, you know, the other half of it where it's show business, when we are entertainers, and when it's like, okay, how do we reach as many people as possible with this, and what's the single, what's the the promotional part. And the thing is, as we treat it like that, there's always the chance, that we might always be that our next album is our Chinese democracy.
Right.
But, you never know. But we are very good at making peace with that every time. That sense of, well, we like it, and we are the only 5 people who truly have to live with this music for the rest of our lives. People can do as we did with Chinese democracy. We just pretended it didn't happen and moved on.
Yeah.
So in those terms, that kind of success I have felt for, I don't know for how long. It's always been very gratifying and satisfying, and had a huge personal importance to write and record and do that whole thing. And in that sense, I think we've been an extremely successful band for a very long time.
Yeah, absolutely.
Then you can, I don't know, like, then there is just success in the world. Once you put the music out there, there's a certain type of success, seeing the audience there, that you have truly have connected with someone.
Yeah. And
then when the quantities increase of how many you have connected with, that can be a certain rush. And especially, for us, cool thing about metal is that, the age and gender now, it can be so very, very mixed who's standing there.
Yes.
And when you have people much older or much younger than yourself in the audience connecting with what you do, that there's something going on there. That's extremely cool. And then, I don't know, there was that first time after the tour when I could, take the next round in the pub.
Yeah.
Not on day job money, but on actually, tour money. That was something. Or then paying rent with it, and feeling like, okay, like there's a legitimacy in it in that sense. It can't be denied as an adult. You have to, there's something to be said about that.
Yeah.
Just that you feel vindicated as for having pursued it as a career. But it's all secondary too. It's fine to do. We have had other jobs on the side for such a long time and didn't enjoy it any less. Mm-hmm. It's not like we suffered through the first decade growing up with this band,
Yeah.
in order to just now reach a point where we're like, okay, now we're having fun.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man, I'm glad for you, and I think obviously it's a testament to your creative kind of abilities to create something that kind of spans the world, as Avatar's been able to do. And I've always liked your quote where you talk about the idea of Avatar being, sort of using the stage as a canvas for your art, and I really like that as seeing you and the band as creative artists. So I wanted to ask you about, what are your biggest challenges in terms of creating art and being an artist outside of obviously making the music and recording and your vocals and all that kind of stuff and collaborations with Corey Taylor and all that is great. But in terms of the art form and being a creative artist, what are your biggest challenges, in that area?
I think overall is that because as you say, everything anyway starts with the music and ends with the music, and in between there's a very abstract question that we didn't even understand what it meant to ask ourselves back in the day, was what does the music look like?
Yeah.
Because that is where everything else comes from. Mm-hmm. That is how you figure out how to, do the right music video or do the right stage show. Now, with this particular album, that all came together very early, hand in hand with the music, because there was a certain sense of a vibe, what we were going for. Like, this is not a concept album like the earlier two was, but still we just have gotten better in seeing the great big picture while working on individual parts of it, individual songs and stuff.
Yeah.
And therefore those ideas of that sense of understanding what this is looking like, that came into play much earlier. But it's things around that. We have had the stage show, now the work on that is put on hold for obvious reasons. Mm-hmm. But just to understand what we want to do, because we want to do the most kick-ass, mind-blowing metal show you can make. Yes. The only thing is that you have that can be Iggy Pop and it can be Rammstein. you know.
Yeah.
There is no ultimate truth in how many elevators do you need built under the stage floor, or you know, what there is no objective truth to what that means.
Yeah.
And then you have to find your own truth or your own, you know, subjective ultimate show in this particular day and age. And for this, whenever we get to do this, it's all based around an idea. If we compare to where we just came from, Avatar Country, that was a stage show that in a way was pornographic.
Yeah.
And it's not literally, obviously, but it didn't leave much to imagination. It spread its leg and showed everything, and quite spectacular, but quite unnuanced.
Yeah.
And it did a lot of job for you. And then if the counterweight to pornography would be eroticism, where you do something, like if you tell a story or, you know, do something visually that forces you to do half of the work in your own head.
Yeah.
But there you get a much deeper connection to it.
Yeah.
It has that visceral side to it, but then, I don't know, tickles on more levels.
Yeah.
And in practical terms, that would probably mean that the basic look of the stage would feel, in a sense, maybe emptier.
Yeah.
And a more conscious step towards the darkness that goes with the album.
Mm-hmm.
And then from there go even more creative with light design, and then rely on our own bodies rather than mechanics a bit more, you know.
Yeah.
But again, it's kind of put on hold right now for obvious reasons.
But it sort of leaves it open to interpretation. So
and it's just, you know, like we have, if again, maybe Avatar Country was an opera stage, you know, in a sense, with all this stuff there.
Mm-hmm.
But then you have, I guess you would also call it in English, obviously, black box theaters.
Yes.
Like those that are just little, you know, black floor, black ceiling, black walls.
Yeah.
And, you know, if you push in a park bench in that space, it's a park. If you push in a couch, it's a living room. And if you, you know, work with to use the word canvas, if you work with an empty canvas, you don't need to put so many things there before it transforms into that thing it's supposed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, and again, like, this is very much an initial talk in the sketch work way of describing.
Yeah.
The end result then becomes in very practical terms. Oh, you need to buy those LED bars and those kind of lights, and we need this to be behind the drum kit, and then we have this cool idea that we are doing for entering from da-da-da, and you exit stage left, and, you know, there are then practical things about it.
Yeah.
But it's all a little bit in the air now, because then it becomes a question of budget and those certain decisions we can't really make until we know when and where we will tour first.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's exciting to think about, though, you know, and get those creative juices flowing, which is cool. Obviously, you had Avatar Country, then you also had the live record, which is great, as a way to kind of document the band's, you know, live experience and career as a whole. So I'm not trying to say, like, you know, what have you got left to do as a band? Like, what does Hunter Gatherer represent for you as a band? What do you feel like is left for Avatar to do, since you've had successful records, you have toured the world, and you have, you know, you've done the live record, you know what I mean? So what is left for you to do, and what does Hunter Gatherer represent?
As we are pushing ourselves to always move on as artists to the next thing, and we are getting older as everyone else who has the privilege of staying alive. Yeah, that means that your intentions always change, and therefore that means that there's always that next album you haven't done yet. As we aren't very much a band who stay in a formula, you know, it's going to be metal. It's very important for us to make as good riffs as we possibly can, and to find a way to feel that we are challenging ourselves, and that we are in one way or another feel a little bit like beginners every time, to the furthest extent possible. So that always, the intentions will change, and therefore the ultimate album will never be made. It can only be the best thing it could possibly be at that time. Yeah. So that's ever changing. And in terms of success, in, you know, commercial success, it's, again, we want to take this band as far as we can with the material that we have done without any discussion or commercial appeal while doing it. It's just this weird, I don't know, is a weird separation of between the things we are working on, but which again has helped us in our careers, because I think the pure intentions shine through. But that being said, we have never been number one in every country all over the world, and I not taking the private jet to the grocery store. So there's still room for growth if that matters,
Yeah. I mean, would you want to take a private jet to a grocery store? That'd be pretty.
Obviously, no.
Pretty fabulous. Pretty fabulous way to arrive, though.
Yeah. No. Greta Thunberg wouldn't approve, and neither would I.
Yeah.
As no one should. No, but you know what I mean. Like, it's in terms of being successful like that.
Yeah.
Well, screw the jet plane, but playing, headlining really, really, really big places and making the best possible thing you can do there. Like, there's the interesting thing of how to approach shows where very early on your challenge is to make small places feel big.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That is what the great, on a club level, when bands do that, that's something special. When a small room can turn into you transcend into something else. And on bigger places, it's the exact opposite as an art form, to make big places feel small.
Yeah.
To draw people in when there's such a physical distance between you and who's in the very back row,
Yeah.
And to try to have everyone feel a part of what's going on. And those times, probably most of our shows, as for any band, has been shows for an audience between 100 and 5,000 people.
Mm-hmm.
But then it's at some point between 5 and 10,000 where we start to, the festival stages and stuff, and we've been opening for much bigger bands. There's something happens, and there's a challenge to be had there that, I feel like there's been many times now when I feel like, oh, we did that thing, but I would like to do more of it.
Yeah. You obviously want to push for more, absolutely, and I mean, hopefully that'll come in the future, and the record will be massively successful as your previous stuff. I did want to ask you as well about how you've changed, because obviously you can't necessarily speak for the rest of the band, but in terms of from the beginning of your career as a musician, and you're talking about touring in vans, playing smaller spaces, and being able to now do theatre with where everything is part of almost like a brand, where you've got the the makeup, the image, and the visual side of it. How have you changed and developed as a person, and I guess as an artist, through Avatar since the beginning until now?
As an artist, definitely more confident and more comfortable in trusting the process.
Yeah.
That I think is one of those things that happens with growth. If you stay at it, is that you start to understand that a day that ends up with where you end up with just an empty sheet of paper is still part of it.
Yeah.
And so more secure in that I guess I can believe that I have some kind of at least base level talent for this. Like, I at least, good or bad, I come up with things.
Yeah.
And nowadays I feel, by enjoying doing it and staying at it, I feel confident that it will lead somewhere, and trusting my vision, I guess, and daring to, even having a vision, and become more articulate. All those things has fallen into place more and more, through experience. What was the other half of that question? Sorry.
It's quite a long question, but how have you changed? I guess as a person, through your music and through your work, basically.
Well, I hope not too much, in a way. Artistically, in the best of cases, the lyrics can be some kind of summary of where you are at. Mm-hmm. And if you're able to, it's impossible to fully remove your ego when writing.
Yeah.
Because it's so much, it's in a way, it's all ego. It's all putting different it comes from within, you know, but at the same time, to not let ego still get in the way for what you want to say, and hitting new levels of honesty artistically.
Yeah.
So the part of the art, of the work on it that is based in self-examination is probably, you know, they're just those things that I wouldn't have felt as comfortable writing and singing probably, you know, when I was 20, that I am now, you know, like that more shortcomings are, it's okay to have more shortcomings on there.
Yeah.
Maybe. And therefore, so, you know, each album is like peeling away a layer of bullshit, you know, peeling the onion and get closer to the core of things. Absolutely. 8 albums deep means 8 layers gone.
Yeah.
You know, of course, there's still 2 million layers left before being a complete human being, but that goes for all of us, I guess.
Yeah.
But as a person, I don't know. Again, we kept normal jobs for such a long time that and as we've been able to remain a band, a very democratic band, there is probably parts of me that, you know, that certain things have gone to my head. And sometimes I might think that my shit doesn't smell and all that, but I think I kept that at bay pretty well. And honestly, I feel always that is more true for younger up and comers. It's more true for us as a band. You know, it's more often very based in insecurity.
Yeah.
And like I said, now I fucking love hunter gatherer, and I wanted to be successful. But I'm very much at peace always with, well, fuck you, I like it.
Yeah.
I think it's the album of the year. Why would I have been involved in anything else than what I would consider to be the album of the year? And that's a big head kind of position to hold. But at the same time, I don't know if it could or should be anything else, you know, putting out this, I think it's okay, you know, we did something decent. We wouldn't allow ourselves to do that.
Yeah.
So there's a certain cockiness that never goes away. I feel like I'm circling the answer to the question a bit. I'm just trying to figure it out as we go.
No, it's you're constantly developing and changing as a person. What I'm getting from that is that you're saying that, you know, you've kind of grown and developed through each album. You've become a more well-rounded person. You've kind of stripped back those. I like that onion metaphor. You know, the layers.
Yeah,
you've stripped back the layers, which is good.
And but then it's the chicken and egg thing. Am I evolving through the music? Or is the music a product of me having evolved, you know?
Okay.
And it probably goes a bit hand in hand, because again, if you force yourself to, as we don't write about, I don't know, sports results and programming of the coffin maker, as it is personal stuff that we decide to put in there, and personal feelings, also not just lyrics but the music, and then there must be a therapeutic aspect of it.
Yeah.
It kind of becomes very evident then when I'm, you know, through promoting it, is of course where I end up talking about it the most, and then realize a lot of things about it.
Yeah.
Once I have to, you know, find other words for it.
Yeah, you're kind of able to reflect and
which it gets weird, you know. I love talking about music.
Yeah.
And at the same time, in part, sometimes this is a misquote and paraphrase of, and I don't remember by whom, but there's this talking about music is like dancing about food or whatever, you know, like it's, I disagree to a certain extent, but you can't fully, in a prosaic way, you can never fully explain the power of poetry and the power of tunes in any other way than just doing it.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I mean, it's a really good conversation to have. It's something I'm quite interested in myself, like talking about how music can develop people. And there's a couple of tracks before we finish that I wanted to talk about. Obviously, Colossus is a great one, and that kind of monologue at the beginning, you know, freedom can only exist in a state of chaos, you know. And you mentioned the darkness in the record. And, you know, Secret Door is another favourite of mine with the diversity musically of the vocal, well, just the styles that are kind of, you know, packed in there. How are those, I mean, we'll try and do one after the other, but I know we've not only got a little bit of time left. But starting with Colossus, what were your kind of ideas and creative inspirations with that? And, you know, starting with that monologue, which, again, is kind of challenging people to think a little bit about the state of the world we're in.
Yeah, well, the monologue was specifically for the music video.
Yeah.
And the idea came from looking at the early seasons of The Twilight Zone.
Yeah.
When the creator, the writer, show, now his name escapes me, about how he would, you know, be on the set and talking, you know, and giving a setup of what this episode was going to be about, very much with the philosophy behind it in mind. So, but the song at large, I read about somewhere in the world, some scientists are trying to piece together a human brain instead of a computer, and have it be fully functional as a human brain. And you know, if something operates 100% like a human brain, as far as that program or machine is concerned, it must feel like a human being.
Yeah.
So there's a certain existential dread that came over me thinking a bit deeper about that.
Yeah.
And the song then, based upon that, deals with the feelings of, as much as a science fan, a science groupie I am.
Yeah.
And in principle love the scientific method and I find it one of our, you know, singular greatest inventions in and out of itself. Just how we work when we work with a scientific method.
Of course.
There's still some scary ethical dilemmas in there, and there's still unforeseen consequences, and there's still always, you know, balancing that our curiosity with our humanity.
Yeah.
And there's a Frankenstein's monster aspect of it there.
Yeah, that's cool. It's funny because I used to work. So I worked at MIT for a little while, and there was in Boston, and there was these people working on the next generation of robotic limbs. So I have a disability, so I have cerebral palsy, so I struggle to walk.
Okay, oh yeah.
The conversation happened. I was talking to these guys, and they were saying, I could make you a limb that would work entirely independently of any, you know, you could control it with your brain, and then I could do it for your arm, and I could do it for your other arm. And he was like, just because I can doesn't mean that I should. And I quite like that, you know what I mean? So there are these people that are in charge of these next generation of robotics that are thinking ethically. You know, they can.
Which is necessary, because otherwise you get, what was it in Japan, Unit 731, I guess they were, and Dr. Mengele in Germany, and all, you know, I don't know, CIA feeding LSD to unknowing people unknowingly, and just a bunch of stuff we could do, or the big one, obviously, animal testing. And just those things that is beneficial to reach the results we want as quickly as possible. Yeah. But with, you know, one consequence being very direct and short-sighted, and that you see immediately, cruelty. Yeah. And then long-term, just what kind of people it turns us into long-term. Yeah. Now I find it hard to see why they wouldn't find the best possible equipment to help you deal with your disability as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that, like I say, it's more that they can do everything. They have the capabilities to do all of that, you know, but they just need to work ethically about, you know, whether it's appropriate to do that for somebody.
Every step needs to be conscious.
Yeah, exactly, absolutely. Just going to try. Cool. Yeah, it's really interesting, man. Just going to try and squeeze one more in, because I loved, you know.
Sure. Yeah. We can do a quick one.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, I love the Secret Door. Just the diversity in that one, man. Just like it's like a bit of an anthem. You know what I mean? So, like in terms of Secret Door, tell me quickly. As much detail as we can fit in. What inspired that and the development of that?
There are a lot of songs about hope, I guess, and, you know, never give up. Yeah. But I wanted to, you know, approach that from a situation where our emotional state that is literally completely hopeless. Yeah. Where it's in reality, where you acknowledge that we're completely screwed, but even then you have to make that still. I guess that's one of the things what it means to be human. Still make that. Or to be alive, I guess, to make that push for it. Yeah. Anyway, I guess is that last, soldiers coming out of the hole in World War One, just running for it, that last rush, what's it called? Yeah, that last attack anyway, because what else would we do?
Yeah.
And there is some kind of hopefulness in that still. So it's that dealing with hope when it, as a matter of fact, is completely hopeless.
Yeah.
I guess it's the
most
efficient way I can say.
Just having hope anyway, which I think a lot of people can identify with now as well.
Yeah.
So, mate, honestly, thank you so much for your time, and I really appreciate it.
I really enjoyed it.
Yeah, definitely. And I'll catch you soon, man. Good luck with everything. Okay.
Absolutely.
Bye,
Thank
mate.
you. You too.
Bye.
Nice talking to you. Bye.
Bye.